A lot of men come into my program thinking their erectile dysfunction is just a physical issue, but what they don't realize is that their porn addiction might be the real problem. Let me share something important with you. In my years of working with men struggling with porn addiction, about 50 to 60% of them report experiencing erectile dysfunction with their partner. And here's what's really interesting. When these men get into recovery and stop their porn, their sexual function typically returns to normal within 1 to 2 months. I know this not just from my clinical experience, but from my own journey of recovery. Men who watch more than 300 minutes of pornography per week have a significantly higher incidence of ED, particularly among those under the age of 35. In fact, 45% of men with high porn addiction scores experience ED compared to just 10% of those who watch less than 30 minutes per week. But here's the thing, very few doctors are actually screening for this. They're quick to prescribe Viagra or Cialis, especially for men between ages 40 to 65, without ever asking about porn use. And that's a huge mistake, because what we're seeing, especially in young men, is that it isn't just a physical issue at all. It's psychological, stemming from porn addiction. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how porn addiction affects your sexual function, what research really says about this connection, and most importantly, what you can do about it if you're struggling with this issue. I've helped hundreds of men overcome this, and I'm going to share exactly what works. First, the science behind porn-induced erectile dysfunction. When people are looking at pornography all the time, something really interesting happens in their brain chemistry. Think about it like this. Your brain is being constantly bombarded with exaggerated, unrealistic images and scenarios. It's like trying to satisfy your hunger with images of food instead of real food. Eventually, your brain starts to get confused about what's real and what's not. What happens is that this constant exposure to unrealistic sexual content actually changes your sexual template and what your brain responds to sexually. Research has shown that excessive pornography consumption can lead to what we call desensitization. The overstimulation of your brain's dopamine pathways can result in needing more and more extreme stimuli just to achieve the same level of arousal. This is why typically over time, the type of pornography consumed gets more and more extreme. Let me give you a real example from my practice. I had a client, let's call him John, who came to me completely frustrated. He was a healthy 28-year-old guy, no physical issues, but couldn't maintain an erection with his girlfriend. The interesting part, he had no problem getting aroused while watching porn. This is exactly what porn-induced ED looks like. Your brain becomes so accustomed to the intense stimulation of porn that real-life intimate situations just don't register the same way anymore. Okay, 2. Next is the impact on relationships. In my practice, I see this pattern all the time. Men who are struggling with porn-induced ED often start avoiding intimate situations with their partners altogether. Why? Because they're afraid of the embarrassment and shame of not being able to perform. What makes this particularly devastating is the impact on their partners. Imagine being in a relationship where your partner seems to prefer pornography over being intimate with you. It's indescribably damaging to someone's self-esteem. I have had partners tell me things like, I feel like I'm not enough, or I can't compete with what they're watching online. Studies show that couples dealing with porn-induced ED often experience a breakdown in emotional intimacy, not just physical intimacy. It creates this cycle where the person with the addiction feels shame, withdraws further, and often turns more to porn as a coping mechanism, making the problem even worse, and making the relationship issues compound badly. But here's the good news, and this is really important. Porn-induced ED is reversible. When people get into recovery and stop the porn use, what typically happens is that their sexual function starts to normalize. I've seen this consistently in my program over the years. The recovery timeline varies, but most men notice significant improvements within 1 to 2 months of stopping porn use. This period is what we call a reboot. It's giving your brain time to reset its natural reward pathways. During this time, it's crucial to address not just the behavior, but also the underlying issues that led the addiction in the first place. One client who had been struggling with porn-induced ED for years committed to the recovery process. He was stopped all porn use, participated diligently in all aspects of the program, and worked on the healing issues at the root of the addiction. Within 6 weeks, he started noticing improvements in his erectile dysfunction. By 3 months, he reported that his sexual relationship with his partner was better than it ever had been. The key components of successful recovery include complete abstinence from pornography, a structured recovery program, support from others going through the same thing, and working with a professional to address the underlying issues. Also, open communication with partners about the recovery process. One of the most important things I've learned, both from my own recovery and from working with clients, is that long-term success requires more than just stopping porn use. It requires building a healthy relationship with sexuality and addressing the root causes that led to the addiction in the first place. For younger men especially, it's crucial to understand that porn isn't a realistic representation of sex or relationships. The exaggerated scenarios, unrealistic body standards, and instant gratification model of porn can create harmful expectations that interfere with real intimate connections. I encourage all my clients to focus on developing healthy coping mechanisms for stress and emotions, strong support systems, clear boundaries with technology, open communication with partners, and a balanced approach to sexuality. The reality is, in our digital age, we need to be more mindful than ever about how we consume content and how it affects our sexual health. It's not about shame or judgment, it's about understanding the real impacts and making informed choices for our well-being. What I want you to take away from this video is that if you're struggling with erectile dysfunction and you use porn regularly, there's hope. This isn't something you have to live with forever. The brain has an amazing ability to heal and reset itself when we give it the chance. Remember, about 50 to 60% of the men I work with who have porn addiction report ED issues, but the vast majority of them see improvements when they commit to recovery. It's not easy, but it's absolutely possible. And remember, if you're struggling with this, you're not alone. There's a whole community of people who understand what you're going through and are ready to support you in your recovery. If you're struggling with porn addiction and want to start the recovery journey today, I put together a free training that shows you exactly how to do this. Click the link in the description below to register.